What's up everyone, it's HK Gaming. Today we're going to be looking at the mods that you should have in your build. This will help you to form a meta type of build, and from there maybe you can put some unique type of mods. That way you can have a special build but still be a little bit more effective and efficient while farming. We will not be going over the tier 1 mods since it's class specified. We'll be going for the tier 2 and the tier 3 mod. And we'll start off with tier 3 mod since they're last to talk about. As you can see, I'm still missing one non-class specified tier 3 mod. I've been farming over a week now and I still didn't see shit, so I say fuck it, I'll just make a video anyways. This is the one that it would do 25% extra damage against those enemies with bleed. Normally other classes doesn't really need the mod, but it can go super powerful with the Devastator build. I already have an outline of this build, I just need the specific gear to get the build done. So if I get the gear, I'll be making another Devastator build video for you guys. It can go either with the 100% bonus weapon damage set bonus, or the 50% bonus damage against bleed enemy set bonus with the Devastator build. And same thing goes with the Evenizer. It will do 25% more damage against enemies with toxics. You can only get this mod on Technomancer, and of course this works perfectly with Technomancer since the blighted rounds will apply the toxic effects. So this is like a passive 25% for the Technomancer. And for the Shelter, also you can only get this with the Technomancer, but you don't have a way to constantly apply the status effects like the toxic one, so I wouldn't recommend you have this on your Technomancer build unless you don't have any other choice, or you are building an anomaly build based on the freeze turret. 25% bonus damage does sound good on paper, but it is not a must. And other tier 3 mod doesn't really do a whole lot. Most of the time tier 1 would do even better, except for the Sharp Eye. Killing enemies while aiming will give you extra firepower for 20 seconds. This is the meta mod that you should have on every single firepower build. It will give around 50k bonus firepower for 20 seconds. There are no any other mod that can do better than this. And I saw some of the players using the Unstoppable Force. Increase your anomaly power by 50% of your resistant piercing, but it requires you to spend your class point on those resistant piercing, and the bonus aren't really that much, so I would say if you want you can use the Unstoppable Force, but do not expect it to be a crazy amount of bonus. I tested with my Pyromancer Anomaly build. The difference is not obvious and it is a tier 3 mod, so it is a little bit harder for you to get the perfect gear. And now let's look at tier 2 and start off with the status effects like tier 3. The Ash and the Burn are the only ones that will do 20% extra damage, so this is almost like a tier 2.5 mod. All of the other status effects like Freeze and Toxics will only have 15% of extra damage. So if your build does apply Burn or Ash status effects, make sure you keep an eye on this 2 mod. And the other one that I would keep an eye on is the Cycle. It will increase your weapon damage based on your health regeneration. I've tested with the Technomancer since there is a health regeneration class point that you can spend on, but it will not increase any weapon damage. I'm not sure if it is designed this way or there is a bug, since there is way too many bugs in the game right now. I can't really tell if this is a bug or not, but I've tested with the Devastator. It does increase your weapon damage, and by a whole lot, so I would say this is a very good choice. As you can see, if I spend my class point on the health region, okay, so this one, increase weapon damage by 10% for each anomaly in Vayne's class code unlock. This will do the same effects with the Cycle. So in here, as you can see, I have 3% of the health regeneration, and that will give me 30% extra bonus weapon damage as the class point, and it would do exact same with the cycle mod, as you can see from here. See, 30%. I will probably do a Devastator build based on this one too. But yeah, the health regeneration really increased a lot of your weapon damage with the mod cycle. But the Devastator and the Technomancer are the only class that have health regeneration in their class point, and only Devastator work with this mod. And I would recommend to keep a few gears if it has bonus firepower and closing non-range damage as the attribute with the cycle mod, just in case. And the next mod that you should keep an eye is the Vampiric Mac. You will be relying on this if you are playing a firepower trickster build. You will have to rely on this mod to get the twisted round running for you, but only for the time before you got the tier 3 mod, which is killing enemies will give you 20% of the ammo, and after that you don't need that blade effects anymore. And the 2 critical damage based on the armor and resistant piercing sounds pretty good, but there isn't a very stable way for you to get a very high amount of that piercing. Instead, I'll recommend the crit stat. It will give you extra anomaly power and the firepower every time you do a critical shot. It can stack up to 5 times, so it is almost like a 40k extra firepower for you. Having the bonus firepower is also the most direct and the most effective way for you to boost up your damage. If you're fighting against the human type of enemy, you can assure to get the critical shot every time you get a headshot. This is much better than the 10% assault weapon damage and the shotgun damage and sidearm damage. This 10% does give you a fair amount, but I would say you could find other mods to replace this. And if you're playing Trickster, there is a better way for you. That is the 15% bonus to close range weapon damage. It has a higher bonus damage comparing to the 10% of shotgun damage, and most of your attacks are close range damage since you're using a shotgun. So I would say if you're building a shotgun build, I would recommend to have the personal space. And the next one is the meta for the tier 2 mod. Killing enemies increase your firepower and stack up to 3 times. This will give you 52.5k bonus firepower. It will give you even more firepower than the Sharp Eye. Not a lot of extra firepower, but you don't have to aim for the enemies. Any killing shot will give you that extra firepower. The only thing is it only lasts for 10 seconds. And on the other hand, Sharp Eye will last for 20 seconds, while you will want both of this on your firepower build anyways. So, and other bonus firepower mod really isn't that good. And that's it for the offensive mod with tier 2 and tier 3. And for the defensive mod, of course, everyone is asking about emergency stand. Since the last patch, you don't have that passive golden protective effects as a passive after you trigger the first time. It is still usable if you are playing using my previous build that I made video about. But if you really want a better defensive mod, I will go with the mitigation from death. Killing enemies while aiming will give you extra armor for 10 seconds, stack up to 3 times. And this will give up to 135k bonus armor. But you might ask, oh, what should I do if I'm using a anomaly build? Well, if you are building an anomaly build like I did with the Morning Winds, there is a way for you to get the bonus armor. As you can see, I have all 3 Morning Winds here. The things that you want to do is to aim before you... Hold on, let me shoot one bullet first. You want to aim before you reload. So aim, reload. See, you can still trigger the Morning Winds effects. And if you kill the enemies with the morning winds, it will still give you that extra bonus armor. So it is a little bit more work for you to do, but that mitigation from death will really helps with their survivability. And you don't have to always be aiming. You can just, as you can see, you only need to aim when you're reloading and doing that morning winds damage. It is a little bit more work to do, but still, it is a very good choice if you are looking for a defensive mod. And if you do not want the mitigation from death, the only choice left for you is the Perseverance shield. It will give you around 9,000 points of shield. Whenever your health drops below 30%, it has only 5 seconds of cooldown. It does give you enough time to get your health back, but if there are too many enemies on the field and you are not careful enough, you can still die from it. But for the mitigation from death, on the other hand, will give you a much safer environment for you to do damage if there are a lot of enemies. But the only problem is that if there are only elites, the mitigation from death will not do as well as that shield. Since there are no enemies for you to kill, that is also the reason why we want to take out those elites as soon as possible. But yeah, that's the only free defensive mod for you to choose from. I would say the emergency stand and the shield will do around the same effects to prevent you from getting one shot. Oh, I almost forgot. There is one defensive mod in tier 3, which is the Death Stars. Here, doubles your armor whenever your health drops below 35%. It does not have a cooldown, so every time your health drops below 35%, your armor doubled. I would say these 3 mods work around the same, but since the emergency stand and the shield is a tier 2 mod, and the Death Store is a tier 3 mod, you will have to swipe it into one of your gear. And doubling your armor doesn't do a whole lot. As you can see, I have 66.6k armor as my build, and doubling that will give me what, 132k, and this mitigation from that itself will give me 135 extra bonus armor already just by itself. So mitigation from death will be my priority choice. The shield and emergency stance, yeah, you can use it, but do not expect it to be a OP defensive mod. And I would not recommend the Death Store whatsoever. You will need to swipe it into one of your gear anyways, so why don't you go with the mitigation from death? And that's it for the defensive mod. There isn't really a lot to choose from. And you can still use the emergency stand if you do not have a perfect gear for now. And yeah, that's it for the gear mod. I'll be making another video with the weapon mod. Let me know what kind of mod do you use in your build, and let me know what do you think about my recommendation on the mod. And that's it for today's video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be making more gaming videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.